So here's the question. Zero turn or tractor? For what, you might ask? Taking care of your yard. Which one should you pick? And I would say four-wheel drive tractor is a must. I can't even imagine owning this in two-wheel drive. The amount I use four-wheel drive, even if this wasn't Michigan where we got snow. I mean, granted, you can plow the driveway in two-wheel drive, and I have. It's kind of fun. You can kind of drift around and whatever. You need to have four-wheel drive sometimes. I think that's a requirement. So we're just going to consider this being four-wheel drive is the standard. Zero turns, they mow half the time to do the same amount of space. That's a given. What do they not do well? They don't do wet ground well. They get stuck easily. It's kind of mind-boggling how quickly they get stuck. So four-wheel drive, you could have a four-wheel drive zero turn. I know that's not possible with casters. Yes, I cut my finger working on that. If you could have four-wheel drive casters, that'd be incredible. But this thing gets stuck so easy. It's unbelievable. Just wildly unbelievable. There is a time and place for having four-wheel drive, and that is in the spring, in the wintertime, and if you were to have off camber or uphill or downhill. Zero turn, I found out, gets a little bit squirrely mowing on downhills. And off camber especially, you have to work really hard with the sticks to keep it going, you know, perpendicular to the ground, or going straight when the ground trying to pull it down. What you can do with zero turn 2 is hook it up to trailers. It is excellent with yard trailers. What you can do backing this system up, you can put it anywhere. You can do a figure 8 in reverse, no problem. I mean, I do it for fun around trees all the time. You just, it's amazing what you can do in reverse with a zero turn. So if you have a log splitter on a trailer, this is just one of our old trailers we've always had. It's probably 30 years old. I have no idea. Sort of was passed down to me, and I've always taken care of it, and I rebuilt. I changed the bearings a while ago, and I'm going to paint it hopefully this wintertime and put bed liner all on the inside and repaint the outside, and hopefully I can remake the load hog sticker just because it's cool. Look at the red devil in there. Isn't that cool? The quality of cut is incredible with the zero turn. I literally just did this minutes ago. Now our grass is still coming in. These are ruts from my buddy drove around back here in the fall and got stuck. So I had to pull them out. Those are his ruts. Mine are over here somewhere, I think right there from pulling him out. I literally just mowed this, and our grass is still trying to come in and get solidly rooted. It did a incredibly nice job, I think. And I'm mowing it kind of short. It's 2.5 inch cut depth. I think I have it up at 4.5 right now. Yeah, I think I put the deck back up. I'm mowing it pretty low. It has to be, because this height I just cut and the deck is above that. The cut, comparatively, I mean, obviously the zero turn is far better. But the tractor with a belly mower is comparable to a non-high quality zero turn. That is an entry level Gravely. It's a ZTX, and this one is a 60, or no, it's not, it's 52. This model only came in 52. So, it's a smaller deck than the tractor, and I would say, based on what I've seen, is zero turns that have a 48 inch deck definitely have a little bit better quality cut, because they are riding, the deck isn't crossing spans so much, so it doesn't get so much of this going on. I like the 52 because it gives me a good cut. Well, I wanted this model. That was kind of, I was going to get the 52 regardless. But I do it again because in my yard I have enough grass. Like if I had maybe a half acre less than I do, then I could be like, yeah, I could use the extra time of cutting with a 48. But the 52 gives a really good cut quality. And it does have a couple places where it does this when I have uneven ground. And most of the time that uneven ground was created by this. So that's kind of the next point. But if you want to get the best cut quality, I get a 48 in a zero turn. in a high quality zero turn, Gravely or Exmark. I mean, those are your two basically best. And I've operated an Aaron's. We have a residential Cub Cadet too that I don't have here, but I've used it a bunch. I've cut here with it before. And I used an entry-level Exmart, and that was definitely not as heavy duty as this, but it was still a very, very nice unit compared to what you'd get at like a Home Depot or something like that. So far, I think the world of this unit. If you're looking for something that does a good job for a price that's swallowable compared to a $7,000 zero turn, do you really need that in a residential yard? And I totally run a business with this too. I would not want to run or do large properties like this day in and day out with this, because I think you'd stress the absolute crap out of it. But like if you're doing 2 or 3 properties like mine a day, I'm mowing probably 2 acres, and it's 2 acres of rough ground, up, down, some of this, around a pond. It's kind of hard on it. So I would get a Pro model 48-inch with Kawasaki for sure. Now, let me get back to the comparison. I guess the review video isn't necessarily just about that. Tractor weighs a lot more. Just the weight on the front axle is probably, I'm not gonna say twice, but it's substantially more than the total weight of that unit, just what are on the front tires. And you can see how skinny and small the front tires are. Why does that matter? When the ground is absolutely saturated, this will leave indents where the 2 tires or 2 sets of tires went through. In the summer though, when the ground's hard, you do not even notice the weight. And when you're mowing in 2-wheel drive, which you should, Layla came through to inspect the operation here. When you're mowing in 2-wheel drive, you don't, on hard ground, there is no marks. With these turf tires, there's no marks, leaves a great cut, and their mower cuts very, very flat. So you can see the rear. So we just usually have a hitch on it, because we don't even own a rear PTO drive for this, because for what we've been using it for on a residential property has been mowing, and we've used the backhoe maybe once or twice. Actually, it's been on the tractor 3 times. 2 of those were literally screwing around with it. 1 was actually really using it. This is a super handy deal to be able to cart trailers around. If you have several trailers that need to all be jockeyed around, the turning radius of this is phenomenal. So there's a good reason to buy one of these, and I'll get to that in just a second. I'm trying to go through the downsides here. Weight, making tracks, and the cut quality isn't quite comparable to this. However, it's comparable to entry-level units that aren't arguably almost a commercial mower. The ZTXs are just a smidge below what would be a commercial mower. So that's kind of in a class of its own, I think. And I think a lot of people think, because it's the same chassis and the same deck, but not the same spindles, and it doesn't have serviceable hydraulic drives. That would get you up into a pro level. The deck structure and the chassis itself is comparable to a pro model. So, and the motor. Though, I'm getting off track here. We'll review that later. What this does in the good is what you can't do with this. The 4-wheel drive in the spring and on hills and working, I think you can get snow blades for that, but why in the world would you want to do that? This thing is a king in the snow. It'll move anything. It'll pick up the snow so you can make a big pile. So if your kids want to have a great big snow hill, that's the ticket. Now, if you can't have both, and your decision factor is, do I have a wet driveway, or do I have a hilly or side hills or by a pond? This is way more stable in unpleasant situations, because you have 4-wheel drive, you can drive right out of it. And the other thing is too, the bucket is a recovery device. Let me explain. I don't mow with the bucket in the summer. The ground is dry, it's not slippery, no chance of getting stuck. Bucket comes off and I call it the sports tractor. Though in the spring, like right now, if I was mowing that with this, I would have it in 4-wheel drive. I have the bucket on. When you're in 4-wheel drive, especially considering the ground is kind of loose anyway, the amount of ruts and the amount of ground pressure or ground scrapes it makes, it's inconsequential. The ground's going to grow back pretty rapidly as soon as, you know, the ground hardens up, the grass takes a good footing. The consequences of using this, if you're going to keep on using it, are pretty low. However, it's taken a while. I've yard rolled the yard several times using the Gravely with a really, really heavy duty yard roller to get out the ribs that this thing made. There were just miles of this. So if you're going to use this year round, the consequences of using it in 4-wheel drive in the spring are rather low. If you're going to switch to use that, you're going to notice the huge difference in the damage that this thing does comparatively to that. And I say damage, I say that loosely. If you bury it, you're doing a lot of damage. What I'm saying is the ground, the soil gets a bump, and correspondingly the deck cuts some waves. But if you need to have, I mean, the bucket itself, I mentioned a recovery device. If you use the bucket tip and you drive the bucket into the ground and you want to walk backwards, you walk, pick up, set down, walk, pick up, set down. You can walk it right out in the same way. You can roll up, set down, and then roll it this way and it'll roll forward like that. You can I've literally recovered the tractor before using that with it framed out, dropped through, mower deck buried in mud. You walk it right out the bucket. So, off camber, hills, water, wetness, this is the bee's knees. So if your property is like that, where you might have, you know, a half acre, 3/4 acre, an acre of pretty yard that other people see, and then the rest of it are things you see and have to take care of, man, this is the way to go. If you want to have everything look like, I mean, I'm not going to claim a golf course, but it looks pretty good. It looks pretty solid for a yard. And bear in mind, we've had this since 06, and every year it's mowed this. So it's 2022 now. This thing has been mowing this lawn a long time, and it didn't take very long to get it to go to, I'm going to say this loosely, golf course quality grass. That thing did a good job quickly, and rolling it didn't hurt either. So if your decision factors are, I own a piece of property that's really nice out front, so you have where the people see this much. Your house is right here, then all around it is woods, or you have a pond. Man, 4-wheel drive is the difference. And remember, you can run it in 2-wheel drive, and there's no consequences to running in 2-wheel drive. You can't even see the marks this thing makes in 2-wheel drive when the ground's hard. Or you can't even see the tracks in the grass. The only time you're going to notice it is when the soil is so soft that it's pressing in the whole way. So I think that pretty well covers it. Loose ground, sketchy situations, recovery device, 4-wheel drive, cuts really good. And I'm going to say this too, this thing cuts better than your entry-level machines. Your entry-level ride-upons, your entry-level zero turns. When you're getting into either 3/4 pro or when you get into real pro mowers, it can't compare. But the finish mower that these use, the belly mower, is very, very comparable to a higher end machine. And it is not comparable to an older ride-upon, lawn tractor, or an older zero turn, or just a current zero turn that isn't a high-end model. And you remember too, this thing is built to be a 26 horsepower tractor. When you get a BX 25, 23, John Deere 1025R, 1023R, 1023E, those things are a cut above a yard tractor. So the bearings are really tough. And those units, we've replaced two or three of maybe all, I think we have replaced all 3 of the bearings on this. There's 3 blades on this tractor. Or on this, mower deck. They're replaceable. They bolt in really nicely. They're really heavy duty units. And there's like 309 hours or something on this tractor. Bear in mind, most of those hours were mower deck hours. So, and that was being, you know, pushed on tall grass. Because when I only had this, I had to wait till almost now in June. Maybe, you know, maybe late May, it was dry enough to mow. But I was mowing with this. I got it in April. I got it late April, if I remember correctly. I was already mowing. So this speeds up your time to mow. This thing does utility that cannot be compared. But I do want to point out, this thing does not tow a little yard trailer very well, because the turning radius, though extremely good, if you're trying to back up your boat, your enclosed trailer, your equipment trailer, your truck trailers, this thing outturns a truck all day long. So backing them in and arranging your trailers, if you want to stack a bunch in the garage in a way you can't do it with a pickup truck, take the bucket off and then you can swing this thing through no space at all. This thing is the bee's knees. But if you want to use a yard trailer, and there's a time and place to have a small versus a big trailer. This thing you can throw in, you know, flowers. You can leave your truck in your driveway, take all the flowers out you just bought, or all the tomatoes or whatever, to go to your garden, drive it to your garden, unload it. You can put, you know, topsoil in here, mulch, whatever, and bring it to exactly where you're trying to work. If you have a garden in your back 40 or whatever you might have. In the same way, the bucket over here holds a lot less stuff than you can put on the yard trailer. So keep that in mind, but it's also a lifting device too. So you get to have a crane. Now, within reason, these smaller ones, we run almost no ballast back here almost all the time. If it was really, if we were going to use the lifting capacity of this unit, we would need to run, so they make trailer hitches that have a ballast built into them so you can hang weights on them. They also make equipment boxes so you can put ballast in it, and then you have like places to put rakes and chainsaws and crap like that in the back. Or you run a box blade, a tiller, a flail mower. If you want to have a huge, you know, brush mower hanging off the back here, you know, I guess more power to you, but that's kind of annoying. If you're going to get a tractor and you want to do residential work as in your house, highly recommend a belly mower. And that's going to limit your searches a lot more, because like your 4 series that I know of, I think back in the day they used to make a 4 series with a belly mower with a mid PTO. They don't make that anymore that I know of. And I think select 3 series John Deere's even don't have them. Kubota, similar thing. The smaller horsepower tractors, I think sub like 35, you can get a belly mower. But you're going to need to consult your dealer about that, because they've changed the model designation so much. They have the V01 now, the entry level L, the Grand L, the MX is the big boys, and you have your BX, which is your really little boys. Now, if you're I operated a 1025R, excuse me, I have operated a BX, small. I've operated to a 2025, does that sound right? It's an older John Deere. I'm a big boy. I'm not a small person. And this operating station on this B2630, my brain just took a crap. This operating station is perfect for a big guy. If you're 6'2", you got some weight on you, you're comfortable in this operator station for hours. BX, you're tight. I'm talking just bigger than a lawn tractor. Tight. John Deere 1025s, tight. 2 series, tight. 3 series, you're getting into more comfortable like this. This one kind of toes the line, I think, between a big 2 series and a small 3 series, if you were to compare it to a John Deere. My understanding is a B2501, I think it is the equivalent tractor, just new. And then they have the Grand L series, or the Entry L series, that has a similar horsepower rating, but I think it has bigger tires front and rear. Just a bigger stature tractor. So this kind of toes the line between not a small compact, but a bigger small compact. Or a bigger compact. I said that wrong. Geese! Say hi to the geesers. So yeah. This thing has its uses. Zero turns have their uses. And keep that in mind, zero turns are pigs on hills. If it's slippery at all, if the ground's wet, man, you might as well give up and go do something else. It's not pretty. And I honestly thought with the heavier tread on the rear, because our Cub Cadet's pretty sketchy too. It just spins. That digs. So I'm not sure if it's better or worse. I love the package. I love the blacked out package. The black and red looks good. The black with the gray accents the seat looks awesome. The red on the sticks. I'm not sold on these tires because I'm not really sure that they help at all. They really cause you to dig more. So you spin turf tires on turf and you don't go anywhere, but then you dig through the turf and you're into the dirt with these. So I'm not sure I'm sold on the tires, but they look friggin' sweet. And that's all that counts. That is all that matters in life. If you look cool. So I got, on this model, you get the Kubota. God dang it, you get the Kawasaki. And this is a great motor. This thing will power through thick, wet, awful grass, no problem. My friend is a Kohler, and he's thinking about getting a different mower. He has a ZTHD, which is the one step up from this. They have the same deck, same chassis. The ZTHD has the serviceable transaxles, and I do believe they have serviceable, as in you can grease the bearings for the blades. As far as I know, that's the only differences, but they have the same chassis and the same mower deck, but they have different bearings and different transaxle. And he has the Kohler, and I expressed to him what I liked about this, and he seemed to express the same things, except for he doesn't like the lack of low-end torque from the Kohler. When I say low-end torque, like you can really, he told me, and he owns a lawn service company, so he ought to know. He has one unit with the same motor, Kawasaki, and a Pro model. And then he has the ZTHD, that I think was his first, you know, the one he started his mowing business on. He expressed to me that when he got into thicker stuff, the Kohler steps down in ours because it doesn't have the torque to hold the RPM, so you lose blade speed, and it just doesn't cut as good. Whereas Kawasaki has enough torque to power through. My understanding is the Kohlers are bulletproof. I mean, I've never seen a Kawasaki blow up either. So I'd rather have the power, and as far as I know, that motor is going to run. And also, too, I'm not going to ever get rid of this. I love this unit. I've only had it a month. And I already have 17.1 hours on it. So that one's going to be around a while. This one has 300 and... Oops. Sorry, guys. I'm having trouble here. My allergies will kill me, too. Hold on. The video camera is over here. How am I going to do this for you? 300 and... What is it, 16? I got the wheel up. So with the bigger guy sitting on here, the wheel up is definitely the most comfortable, position. So, wheel up, and I think the seat moves, but I don't know if we've ever moved it. Yeah, the seat moves. I think it's all the way back. Maybe it's not. This is kind of a useless cargo door. If you're looking at these, they have just no clippage. So, it's not really a cargo door. So yeah, I guess we're not really we're not trying to review the two of them. This has been a great unit. A really phenomenal machine. And they have a lot of power. So, in fuel consumption, I guess I should cover that. I have to dump less fuel into this big beast. Whoopsies. I have to dump less fuel into, I know, I just literally dropped my phone. I have to dump less fuel in this beast to mow this yard than I have to dump in that beast. That thing gobbles fuel. Just absolutely uses fuel. This thing is no joke. And it doesn't have the biggest fuel tank in the world. But that's, I mean, what are you going to do? Just don't drive a mile down the road to mow your buddy's lawn just to have to drive home again. It's a pretty easy thing to not have to deal with. I just dump fuel when I need it. But that thing definitely gets better fuel economy. So diesel for the win. That would be pretty sweet with the diesel. So anyway, you guys have heard me ramble for a while. Hopefully that answers your questions of should I get a four-wheel drive. So if you're a smaller guy, I'm going to jump back something really quick. If you're a smaller guy, if you're under 6 foot, and you're not, a large man, you're going to do okay on the BX. BX is a nice unit. So is the 1025 or 1023. I prefer Kubotas, especially in these smaller tractors. I like Kubotas better. especially with the loader joystick. You know what I've noticed with John Deere's? They are really loose. You can really finely control this bucket, lift, and roll. You just can't with the John Deere. They're really loose. I don't know what it is with their hydraulics, but they're a lot looser than this, and I much prefer working with this bucket system than a John Deere. I also, John Deere makes a big deal about your steering being out front. Yeah, well, number one, most of these small tractors are gonna have a belly mower. Look at it behind that giant bracket. There's not even a scratch on that, I don't think, where I've ever hit anything. And it's up above the height of the axle. The John Deere units, especially the 1025 and 1023s, those darn steering linkages hang way below the tractor. Look at this. The steering is darn near the highest part of what's underneath the truck, or tractor. So, I'm not sure I buy into that whole deal. And these guys don't sell John Deere's anymore. These were a great dealer. They sell, it's not Coyote. It's, Mahindra. I think they sell Mahindra now. So I have no idea about those tractors. I haven't operated one, but these guys were great people. So if you're in that area and you want to go deal with them, they're sort of a mom and pop kind of thing. We got ours from the Howell location. At least to me, it seemed like a mom and pop kind of location. They set me up with parts when I needed to fix a really stupid thing on the 3-point. We're talking like $10, $12 of parts right in the middle of COVID. And they happened to have the parts for me, and they set them out so I could get them, and we drove the cart over the thing, and I drove down and went and got them that night. They were great. So those people are the bee's knees. Not sure about the tractors that they have because I've never used one. But if you're a smaller guy, BX is cool. This ability to do work with a bucket and to have a 3-point, and to be able to run it. I mean, you got the whole package here. You can house mow, you could till to have a garden, you could have a flail mower to do property work, you could get them with a skid steer quick connect and a third function up here, or you could get because this one's set up to have a Power Beyond set up for a backhoe right here. You could get a set of hoses to run this Power Beyond up forward, and then you could run a hydraulic attachment up front that would be switched on the whole time, like a snowblower or one of those brush cutters that go on the thing, like a Lane Shark, or I think Titan makes one now too, that like it moves over and then you can like mow vertically too. Pretty slick. So yeah, this whole package has a lot of good points, a whole lot of great points, but that mows a lot flatter and a lot more consistently and a lot faster. I mowed my whole yard in about 2 hours and 10 minutes with the most inefficient cutting pattern in the world because it was so wet that I had to go around all the messed up places and then cross them at speed so I didn't get stuck and screw around with all kinds of stuff. And I enjoy every second of it, but we're talking 3.5, 4 hours to mow here with this on a good day. And like I said, I literally enjoy every single minute of it because it's relaxing, it's fun. I love driving the tractor. But man, when you got to get stuff done, that thing powers through stuff. Even with a smaller cutting surface, it's going so fast and it turns so quick because it's a zero turn. Bee's knees. So hopefully I've kind of covered the differences, because a lot of people are shopping between having a zero turn and having this, because when you're considering buying something like that outright versus financing this, the financial burden is pretty darn similar. So hopefully that helps you guys. And you guys remember to like and subscribe. And thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it.